The Obama administration recently announced that it's going to be starting a waiver program for individuals who are unlawfully in the United States, where they can get their waiver adjudicated or decided here in the U.S. rather than having to travel abroad and wait outside the United States for many months to get that decision from the Immigration Service. The way the system works now, and the largest group that's affected are people from Mexico, but it applies to people from all over the world, including from Asia, Europe, South America. But the largest group, certainly more than 50%, are people from Mexico. What happens is these individuals have entered into the United States illegally, crossed over the border without having a visa, and they've gotten married to U.S. citizens. The U.S. citizen can sponsor that person for the green card, but because of the way the law is written, if they entered the country illegally, they're going to have to apply for a waiver of that illegal entry abroad. And so they're going to have to leave the country, go to a U.S. embassy for an interview, and then apply for a waiver. The situation also comes up where people have been illegally in the United States for more than 3 years or 10 years, and there's a bar that applies to them. And so the situation is now that the Obama administration is in the process of implementing a new regulation that will allow these waivers to be decided in advance before the person leaves the United States. And they're going to have to be able to show hardship to a U.S. citizen, spouse, or parent in order to get a waiver of their unlawful status in the United States. So instead of having to go back to Mexico or whatever the country the person's from and wait 6 to 12 months over there for a decision, sometimes longer, they'll be able to file here in the United States, keep their job, stay with their family, and know in advance if that waiver will be granted by the Immigration Service. If the waiver is granted, then there's no guarantee the visa will be issued because the individual has to be otherwise qualified, meaning no criminal history or no serious criminal history, and all their other paperwork is in order. But they won't have to worry about the most serious problem, which would be the need to get a waiver, because they'll be able to get that in advance. Right now, this rule is not in effect, but it is in the final drafting stages, and it's expected to become effective probably around April or May of 2012, at which point the government will announce where to file for the waiver. And it's expected that tens of thousands of people that have been waiting because they're afraid to go to Mexico and maybe not get that waiver, tens of thousands of people will be applying for this, including many people that we represent who they have half of the case approved because they're married to an American citizen. They filed half of the case over here, and then they were invited to go to Mexico. But because they don't know if the waiver is going to be granted, they were afraid to go to the U.S. Embassy and then find out they can't return to the country for 10 years because they were here out of status for so long.